are watching the Marlene Talk Show. We're here for you, becoming you.
Well, welcome back. Welcome back to the Marlene Cox Show. Hey, this is going to be our Valentine's series. I hope everyone is prepared for Valentine's series, and we're going to talk about that today. And because our topic is profiles of success in industry, keeping romance alive. And we're going to be so excited about this time of year because we know there's all holidays are important, but there's two holidays that seem to be so important during the year. That's Christmas and Valentine's Day. So, guys, if you did your shopping, if you haven't yet, get your gifts, get your cards. Have you made your dinner reservations? Are you going to the movies? Or you just decided you're going to get in the lazy boy at your home, put your feet up, sit back, and have yourself a nice little dinner? You know, it's so crazy nowadays because you can call and have your food delivered if you don't want to really go out. What happened with this? We're going to talk about keeping romance alive. And what do we mean by that? What are we talking about? We're talking about keeping romance alive in our industry. We have a lot of couples who have made it through, who have both in the industry, both working in the industry, and they have kept their love and affection and their relationship, their personal relationship on point, and also their career. You know, so as I said, Valentine's Day, and besides Christmas, I don't know of any other time people look so forward to the holidays like they look to celebrate and showing their heartfelt love during these two times a year. While it's not a national holiday or a holiday all for that matter, people are excited about that day. What is the date? Come on, guys. What is Valentine's Day? What is the date? February the 14th. Valentine's Day. How do you express your love to your significant other? How do you do that? How do you express it? Is it dinner? Is it a card? It is just being quiet. It's just being getting a babysitter if you have small children. Just getting in a car and driving around just to drive. Pull up in a fast food and get something to eat and sit in the parking lot and eat. How do you celebrate that? Do you want the roses? Do you want the roses? Or you want to give out the cards? How do you want to celebrate that day? It's nothing particular. It's all based on who you are. What do you want? What do you and your significant other wants? And celebrating that. So expressing your love. That's all it's about. You for the romance. Do you go out in a nice, chic dress and when you step out for dinner, if that's your choice? Do you sit back in a pair of silk pajamas at home if that's your choice, and just lounge around? What is your choice? Do you go out to one of your fabulous restaurants that you make reservations and went to a restaurant maybe you hadn't been to before that you want your loved one to take you to? So what do you do? Or did you get tickets to the game? Or you're a football player? What is that? Or whatever, or you going to the game? You have tickets for that? Are you having something special? Or you're inviting a few couples over to your home to celebrate together? What is it that you like to do for that? Love is a matter of commitment where your heart follows your mind rather than your mind following your heart. Today, our show will look at celebrity couples that share the same passion in entertainment and fashion industry, but more than that, they share the same love for one another, even though they are working in the same field as the entertainment. And we know of many couples that that are still have the romance going on. So we're going to bring in Valencia right now, our co-host for today. Hey, Valencia. So we're going to bring you in. How are you? Oh, doesn't she look beautiful? And Valentine, girl, you looking good. How you feel, Valencia? You doing good?
I'm good. Yep. How are you?
I'm doing good. I'm doing good. So we are going to talk a little bit now. So Valencia is going to get us started on how we're going to talk about romance and couples. So where do we go from that? Where are we going to talk about on that? So lead us in and get us started, Valencia.
Okay. So to the public, we see Hollywood couples and think how easy it must be to love that person. But do you know they have one of the same problems you and I have? They're human, the flesh and blood, male and female. So, with all the success that they have, how do successful couples that stay together for decades make it through? What do you think?
Oh my. Wow, that's a big discussion. That is a really. I mean, you can keep Valencia up too. That's a big discussion. Discuss the importance of knowing the industry and being in each other's is a big and having this big fan base. So it can be challenging, Valencia. If we just think about the normal relationship with a husband and wife with children and their careers and they working and their jobs and all of that that comes in. But can you imagine keeping that balance? And remember, this year our word is balance. So we're saying keeping that balance for you as a couple working in a highly pressured field with a male actor, a female, and all of their co-stars and the women and the men and all the different things and the late night dinners. How do you continue to keep that separated? And and we know of couples who have done that. We know of couples who made it through for 50 years in this industry successfully until they went on. So that was so important to know because they are human. And you have to, and one of the things in our industry, because people are so successful, men and women, you're going to have people knocking on your door, pushing up on you. But if you value, and I think what I've understand, if you value each other, your standards are set. A pretty anybody can push up on side you, or a handsome anybody, but you have to always remember this is what I do to create my art, to create my living. But what I have back there at my home is where my romance and my love, and I'm going to respect that. And I'm not going over those boundaries. So it's important that people know you just can't go over the boundary. You have to set the standard for the boundary. You have to have communication. You have to know each other's love style. The man has to know his wife's love style. She has to understand. He's got to go
Love
out, and they
language.
call them, yeah, their love language, yeah. And he has to go out he's on tour for 6 months in one state, and she's on tour overseas. How do you keep that going? And that's through understanding what you just said, the love language, understanding the standards and not going over the boundaries for a couple.
Yeah.
And that's something they work on day by day. Yeah. Okay.
So
So
let's
with
talk
all that
about
said,
Ozzy.
go ahead.
So let's talk about Ozzy Davis and Ruby D.
Oh my God. Ozzie Davis. Oh, and Ruby Dee. How many of you guys know them? Raise your hand if you know who Ozzie Davis and
I know, I did
Ruby
go,
Dee.
yeah.
You did? Because Ozzy was the Denzel of my mom and dad's time. I remember studying up on Ozzy and Ruby D as I got really into the arts. But I remember my mom and dad always talking about Ozzy Davis and Ruby D. They were the couple. They were married like how many years were they married? About 50, I
57
think, before
years.
he passed. Yeah, before he passed. He passed first. And they married and they had such a loving and compelling relationship. I remember seeing them come on stage at one of the reward shows. I was a teenager, I think, preteen. And you could just see the love and the warmth and his statue, and if you look on there, he was back in the day, he was called the Denzel Washington. Gorgeous, high stature, like 6 something. He was amazing. And she was gorgeous. She was I used to call her the young Lena Horne. She was younger than
Mm.
Lena Horne back at that time, but her grace remind me of Lena Horne. So they were an amazing couple. And he was named Ralph Christian Davis. That's what he was born in, and he was born in Georgia. Midnight train to Georgia. He was down there in Georgia, and that's what was on his birth certificate. And I was trying to find out. Of course, he left this. He left us in 2005. Now I thought it was in the late 90s, but he passed on in February of 2005. Okay, and he was active the years that he was active in the industry. Can you believe that? 1939 to 2005.
It's a
Wow.
long time.
And they had three children, including Guy and Davis. So he had a wonderful career. He did a lot of directorial work. Did you see anything of that? He did a lot of directorial work. When us as a community of Black people, we weren't doing a lot of directing work. So he did a lot of directing work. So to his credit, one of the movies he did, and now all of us are familiar with, is Cotton Comes to Harlem in 1970, The Black Girl in 1972, The Gordon War in 1973, and he also with Bill Cosby and someone else, Davis, and a handful of Black actors were able to find commercial success. So he started that commercial stuff that we now see. Do you ever look on TV now and say, okay, we all see Shaq. Shaq's doing commercials
Mm-hmm.
now. Can you imagine back in the 50s and the 60s, us doing a commercial without having the painted white face or without having our hair wrapped up with the thing in the front,
Mm-hmm.
they were actually doing commercials that they looked like who they were. And I mean, that was a step. So they marked the way. So tell me some of the feedback that you got from doing a little bit of research on Ruby and Ozzy.
So I know that Ruby was an American gangster. So I know people my generation probably more familiar with her and being in that movie. With Denzel Washington was in it. So she was playing, I think, Denzel Washington's mother, I think, or grandmother. So she was in
Oh,
that.
yeah. Yes.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Yep.
So you got familiar with her through that movie, right? Okay.
Yeah.
And I'm gonna tell you the
And yes,
movie.
Do the Right Thing. Ozzy, I think both of them were in Do the Right Thing, I believe. Spike Lee movie.
Okay. Hmm. Oh, I
Yeah,
didn't know that they were both in Spike Lee. Do the Right Thing.
I believe
Do you
so.
remember what
Hmm.
part they played? What part did they play back then?
I think the Ozzy was the restaurant manager. I could be wrong.
Oh, yes, yes, I remember that him being in there. Okay, okay, all right. So they did a lot of things, and I remember Ruby D back in it wasn't it was with a movie with Sidney Poitier that she played in, and I remember the movie. I can't think of the title right now. Where
Sun,
she played, what was it?
Raisin in the Sun, or something else.
Raisin in the
Raisin in the
Sun. Yeah, Raisin in the Sun. That's when I first remember seeing her on that movie, Raisin it. And I think it was still in black and white, wasn't it? Or is it in, if they show it today, maybe it's in color. But I think it was in black and white. And I think she played, I'm not remember, the sister. She wasn't the mother. She played the sister to Sidney Poitier. And they were trying to buy this home. And they didn't want them to buy that home. They rented it, but they didn't want them to buy it. They were getting ready to leave where they rent to go into another neighborhood to buy. And they were trying not to allow them to move into that neighborhood. And that was a very good. That was a very good. Okay, they were also in a western called Buck and the Preacher. I didn't know about that. Somebody back
yeah,
over in the studio put that up. You remember that one? I don't know that one.
I know that one. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, but they were married for 50 years, and I think. So where else are you going to take? Is there any other couples that we had back in then?
Um, well, yes, but you know what Ruby Dee said about Ozzy?
What? That?
She
Oh, I
said
think
he
I
was,
do. Go ahead.
yeah. So he was the Denzel before Denzel was a twinkle in his mama and daddy's eyes. And he was the finest man that you ever saw, this what you said.
Yeah, he was. So Denzel, do you hear us, Denzel? And Denzel kind of reminds you of that statue of the roles that he played, the family man that he is. Him and his wife have been married. I don't know the years, but I know it's not quite 40, but he's getting up there in the years of his marriage. Yeah, he's getting up
Mhm.
there, him and his wife, and being in that Hollywood scene, and people are so loose, and in the movies that he played in, and the women. I mean, like I said, it would have to be hard for me sitting back watching my husband on TV.
Yeah.
Some of
Sounds
the
like you're
scenes and
a
stuff.
very good actor. Yeah. Yeah. Samuel
Yeah.
Jackson,
So
yeah, and his wife,
who
yeah,
was
they
that?
were
I'm
married a
sorry.
long time. Samuel L.
Who?
Jackson and his wife,
Yes. Yes.
yeah, they've been
Yes.
married
And
a
they're
long time.
still married. Yeah, they've been married a
Hmm.
long time. And I remember her playing in a few movies. I think there was one of those home movies like we used to look at. I'm not sure. It wasn't oh, I can't remember. I can't remember. Not the Partridge Family, but there was other movies in that time where she starred in movies, and she. Oh, I know what it was that I saw her play. Quite a few of them. When the gentleman used to come on, we've lost him now. He passed. When the oh my God, my mind. With the he was the police officer, and the star actor in that movie was from Baltimore, and he passed back in late '80s or early '90s. And the cop, the police officer, the sheriff was the Caucasian guy, and he worked with him. I can't think of the name of the movie, but I
And he
remember
did night.
saying,
Well, it's
"Heat
night.
of the night,
It's
go girl, there you go, heat of the night." Heat of the Night. I remember Samuel Jackson's wife playing in a few of those series throughout her career. I remember her there. And then Samuel Jackson, he played in a lot of great movies and still doing a lot of great things. And they're still
night.
married, and they still have a great relationship. So to really see that is but what people don't know, and when I'm thinking of being married, because like when the writer wrote this, they were saying that they're still human too. Remember that in the intro, they are human, but you have to remember there's so much that entangles their relationship. But they had to have been up like building a house. They build those
Mm-hmm.
marriages on a solid foundation. They didn't build it on
Mm-hmm.
sand, so they were able to step 2 times. And well, how does that happen? Well, you listen to each other, you communicate with each other, you set up our rules and how we're going to do this and how we're not going to do that, and we come together and we make decisions together as a couple. You know, and that sustains you, and you have that respect for people, for one another. A lot of times I've learned through the years in marriages, sometimes people will say, oh no, I'm not going to submit. No, it's not like I remember my grandparents when they thought about submitting. They talk as a woman, she's supposed to submit to her husband, and she doesn't have no say. And as the years went
Mm-hmm.
on, I learned that that's not what submitting means. You submit to one another. As you submit to him, he submits to you, and vice versa. That keeps that relationship going, and everyone makes the decision in that relationship. So, like the husband is the cover, and some young people might call me and think I'm crazy, but the husband is the cover, and she's just as equal. So when you guys come together, I know those actors and people in the entertainment, they come together as a team. They make a decision, and he says, "Dear, this is this." She says, "Honey, I see it this," and they go back and forth discussing that, but they can't come to the decision on how that's going to be handled. So okay, now Ruby, okay, Ozzy, this is the balance. We can't come to a decision, so I'm going to leave that in your lap, and you make that decision because we discussed it, and I will support you in that decision that you made. Vice versa, if the wife does the same thing. So that's submitting, not someone beating you up and telling you to go do this and that. That's not submitting. I think my grandparents, I never really saw it, but I remember everything my granddaddy Preston would say. My grandmom Lillian would jump to it, and I used to learn as a kid, because that's in their generation. They thought that's what it
Mm-hmm.
meant to submit, but it's submitting to one another. And for them to have these solid relationships, they work through those things so that they could continue to care and love from each other. So I'm done with that. Anything else?
Mm-hmm. No. So, no. So, what about some stars of today? What does love look like to Courtney Vance and Angela Bassett?
They're a loving couple, and they go up and accept them awards together. Sometimes they go
Yeah.
together, but you always see whoever's going up to get it, whether it's him or her, they're sitting there supporting each other lovingly, and they go up there and they get those awards together, and you know, they this a unifyingness that they have. And one of the other things that I find, Valencia, if you think about all of these couples who really make it in Hollywood, whether it's through acting or singing, however they make it, you notice they're very selective of the roles they play. You ever notice
Mm,
that? They're very selective of the roles that they play. And that's a standard. They set a standard that this is what I'm going to do to make this career happen, and I'm not going to go below that standard. So that kind of keeps your eyes on the prize. But
yeah,
Angela Bassett, she's one of my favorites. I think she's amazing. I mean, she worked What Love Has to Do with It with Tina Turner.
yeah.
Did you see
It's,
that
I don't
movie?
know. It's like real life. Yep.
I mean, that was like, oh my goodness, that she made. And you know what? For your generation, it's not new. But I have to say, for Angela Bassett, just as a person who grew her into what her and Courtney has together, is back when my parents and then in my generation, a lot, and not that this is the everything in the end all, so don't take this wrong, people. But I noticed a lot of in her generation, I think Angela might be in her 50s now, but I say that
I think she is.
generation, she a little
Mm,
older,
I
a
think she's
little
older.
older.
I think she's in the 60s.
Okay, so that generation of her, let's start with her. And it's probably more that happened before, but I noticed that generation, they didn't just jump out of high school and go to New York or Hollywood to be a star. Okay, they went and got their education and their training. Then they went on to be a star. And I'm noticing every generation since I really keyed in on her, and there's probably others, but I keyed in on her, they do the same thing. They're getting all that together. And I don't know if it came from young football and basketball players in our community coming right out of high school playing ball. They get hurt at 25 and they don't have no career. And so, but I
Mm-hmm.
love how Angela and the generations coming along are training themselves and getting what they need so they have something else to fall back on later on. And
Right.
that's why I've always admired her. I've always admired her for that. I just thought it was just a
Mm-hmm.
good thing, to do, in which a lot of them are doing. So
They
what do you
seem the
think of
most.
that?
I was gonna say they seem the most unproblematic couple to me. That I'm like their issues not aren't all over the media, that I've seen. So I think they're doing pretty well for themselves. Like other couples, like Will and Jada, their business is like everywhere. So I mean, they're
Yes,
still together,
yes.
but I mean, they've been through a lot, and it's like I think it's. I mean, this. I guess it's still good that they are still together and they, working through whatever issues they have. So
Mhm.
that's good. But I also,
Mhm.
appreciate when couples, if they do have issues, they keep it in the house, maybe, and
Yes,
or
yes, yes.
so
I
yeah.
love it. I'm with you on that. I've never Angela and Court. I mean, they keep it. They do. You don't hear their stuff, and it kind of puts a damper perspective on how people project to you, even though they still might love you as their star. And I remember, and I'm so glad it passed real quick. I'm so glad it passed, and I'm so glad Beyonce and Jay Z crushed it when that little mess came out about them about 5, 6, 7 years ago. I don't know what happened, but that stuff was crushed. And but it's nice when you can take that couple like Angela Bassett and Courtney, and don't whatever happens, it's in their house, stays in their
Mm-hmm.
house, and I think that's the way it
Mm-hmm.
should be. I
Yeah, I
think that's the
agree.
way it should be. Yeah, and I've
Mm-hmm.
never even any action, at least on my side, of Denzel and his wife. It's always been, um, I've never, no, it might have been something out there, but I've never heard nothing. So they've always kind of kept their stuff tight. Samuel Jackson, keep his stuff tight,
Mm-hmm.
whatever goes on. Because all couples have issues. People,
Right.
you have issues, you don't have to take your issues outside the door. So that's a good thing. So what time is it now, Miss Valencia?
Time for a commercial.
Okay. So this is the Marlene Cox Show, WBGR TV. You can watch us on Wednesdays at 6 p.m. So go to Roku TV and go over to WBGR TV and look for us. And also on Thursday evenings at 7:30, you can go to our YouTube channel, The Marlene Cox Show, and subscribe to our show. And if you want to contact us, go to www.mayamodels.com and drop us a note and we will get back to you. So we're getting ready to go out on our first commercial break and we'll be right back.
You are watching The Marlene Cox Show. And we're back. You are watching The Marlene Cox Show. We're here for you, becoming you.
Hello, everyone. This is Tierra here, co-host of the Marlene Cox Show. I am here at Fordsville Mall doing the roundabout pound for the week. Today is Valentine's Day, February 14th. So happy Valentine's Day. And I do want to say, listen, if you are not in a relationship, love on yourself. No matter which relationship status is, you have to love on yourself, because without loving on yourself, you don't have the energy to love someone else, okay? So happy Valentine's Day to everyone around the world. Again, I am here at Fordsville Mall. I had the lovely Journey is with me today. Is the day we are going to discuss, I know everyone has seen the Super Bowl halftime show, right? With Alicia Keys and Usher's performance. And I want to ask you guys, with Journey here, how do you feel, or how do you think that Swiss Beat felt with him, with Usher, how he was all like on Alicia and they were all flirting? How do you think that he dealt with it? I think that he, Alicia Keys has been in the industry for a long time. I know they probably have an understanding of things, but me personally, I would feel away. I don't want no man touching on my lady. If I was him, I wouldn't want my man touching on no lady. If I was, if I was Usher's wife, I didn't want to do that. That's real. That's too much. Okay, that's too much. I feel that. Oh my, I feel that. Okay, so the next question is, how do you think that they kind of keep that romance going? Like the celebrities that's sensitive to others on the stage of performances, kind of flirting with each other. Me personally, I don't think it's no way to keep that going. I'm cool to them. I'm proud that they keep it going, but I wouldn't, because you cannot be touching my man, and if I was a man, you could not touch my lady. Like, no. No, I 100% agree. With mine, it's nothing. But I'm telling they have to understand. They do. And honestly, I kind of feel like, we have to kind of have that tough skin to say, okay, my wife is working right now, or my husband is working right now. That's why they have that understanding. I'm sure that they do have that understanding. I'm pretty sure. So, yeah, okay. So you're just like the romance is dead. Like, if you're honest, like, that's my man. Don't touch my man. Get off my man. Go ahead. Okay. What's that? The romance here has been dead. So back to you guys there at the Marlene Cox Show. See you.
Oh my goodness. Hey, welcome back to the Marlene Cox Show. And Valencia, we're going to bring Valencia back in. we left out talking about Courtney and Angela Bassett, which was a good thing. So I'm going to bring Valencia back in. But Valencia, one of the things that you were asking, and when you asked me about Ozzy and Ruby, you asked me what did she say. And there was something here you also, and I'm going to let you lead into it. What did Courtney say and what did Angela say about him?
He said, knowing who you are and knowing what you got leaves little room for what's. Angela is my Valentine. Every morning I wake up and every night I go to sleep.
Wow. Powerful. That is powerful. So that was really nice. That's real. That, I thought that I was when we were on commercial break. I looked down at our what the writer had given us, and I was like, "Oh my goodness, that is so nice." And she's my and I love that. That was something nice to say. So those are the kind of things, Valencia, that keep the romance going. Those little tokens, and like I was just thinking about nowadays we do the texts. Send a little text with a little smile to it, or something like that on the phone, or something like that, or putting something in there. Do they use briefcases today? I know, even though my husband works in corporate, I get to take a briefcase. They use what?
Maybe lawyers. Maybe certain occupations like lawyers might.
But even my lawyer friends, you know what I see them with? Them great big like duffel leather bags. What are that? What's that all about? That I don't see a lot of briefcases. Do you see? I really don't. So, and I was thinking about whatever those bags are they carry with all their notes in. I guess they're computer bags, maybe. Maybe they're computer bags because they can put their computer in it. Yeah. So wouldn't it be nice to put a little note in your significant other's bag and they get to work and they open up their computer or open up their notes and you got a little sticky on top of their notes or on their computer because people don't believe in paper anymore. I love paper. So doing a little.
My mom, she said, my mom said, I think when my parents were dating, they used to write letters to each other, and she was like, yeah, do you do that with your, when I was with somebody, do you write letters? You should write letters to your boyfriend. And like, Mom, we don't do that anymore. We're like, my generation doesn't write letters like that. We might we just text. But it's a sweet gesture though, but it's just like our generation doesn't really like write letters to each other. But I think that's really sweet to do though.
Yeah. But do you see what that does? And I never met your parents, but the pictures that you showed me, I can see the love there. I can see the devotion there. I can see, when you said that, I just went tingling. Oh my God, because that's how you build that love. That's that lasting love that takes you through the storms, that take you through all through life, those little things like that. I don't know how your generation does it, but y'all got to come up with something to make it work. Yeah, when you said that, I thought about my first 5 years of marriage, and I remember if my husband and we were talking about something, and say maybe we didn't resolve it, and he loves to write, so he would write me a letter. So you sit there and you read the letter, and then I started answering the questions to the letter. Then when he got back home, I would put the letter right where I know he would look, and then he would get my answer. And then sometimes on our anniversary, said, I love what your mom, me and your mom did good. And on our anniversary, we used to take those letters. There wasn't a whole lot of them. And we would start reading them back to each other and see how we grew. How did we grow through that? So how would you think your generation would handle that other than text? What would y'all do? Do you put all that in a text?
You might send a text, emojis, maybe an email. But
okay,
yeah, we don't really do letters.
Not the love letters. Okay,
I think it's sweet, but our generation they just grew out of that, I guess. So,
Do they still open the doors for you every time you get out the car these days?
No. Some might, but no. Chivalry is less than probably back in the day.
Okay. Okay, we got to do a workshop at Maya on romancing, and then we need to look at Denzel and Angela Bassett and Ozzy and bring some of them old things back into relationships. That would be so nice. But that was fun. But in every generation that likes to be on stage and show it all, you can expect to be together to death do us part. Can you? And yes, you can, because we just talked about it. If you have boundaries and you're on stage and or on the movie, the big screen, now you don't even do the big screen anymore. You got TV, you got it all, and you have other intimate scenes. And some scenes are just good husband and wife stuff, like the Cosby Show. That was just good, showing really good relationships in our community. I love that show and will always love that show. It was showing good relationships. in that, and there were two adults who were married, and they kept they kept it separate. They kept it separate, even though they showed them sometimes jumping around in the bed having fun, but it was a decent way to jump around in the bed and having fun. They weren't all sleeved up under the covers like on some of these movies today. So that was a good representation of it, of couples working through some things. So tell us a little bit about Jay-Z and Beyonce. What you think about them?
Yeah, so Beyonce, she's a Grammy Award-winning singer, actress, and Jay-Z is the rapper. And they collaborated together. They've gone on tour together, done their tours. My sister went to their tour. It was On the Run tour. They had their issues with infidelity, I guess, as far as I know, on Jay-Z's part. But they managed to work through that, and the whole elevator with his sister, with Beyonce's sister. And but they overcame that. They also made money off of that incident. Beyonce had a whole album, the Lemonade album, and just kind of expressed her thoughts and feelings about the whole situation through that album. So she's able to kind of like, I guess maybe like therapy for her. And they worked through it. They're still together today. We got like 4 kids now. So.
Yeah. They have 4 kids? Oh my goodness. I didn't know. I only know 3. Okay. 3.
Blue
okay.
and like 2 others.
Okay. Oh my goodness. And one thing, what I would say about Beyonce, and truthfully, that's the only thing we ever heard about them. Unfortunately, it went down like that. And but one thing I'll say about her, and you have to respect it. And you said she did the album, and maybe that was therapy for her, but she stayed. It's easy. It's easy to leave, but it's harder to stay to work through it. And you got to respect her for that, because she didn't need Jay-Z. She could take care of herself. So she wasn't staying there because of money, but she can do her own thing. But she valued her marriage. She valued her marriage, and she stayed. And that's hard, because she could have left and everybody would have loved her. Oh, girl, you should have done. You know how they would have been. But she stayed.
Yeah.
She worked through some stuff. Yeah, she worked through some stuff. So I respect her for that, because that's not an easy thing to do, especially when the whole public know your business. Everybody knows that.
And I think Jay-Z grew and learned from his, mistakes and everything. I think he matured after that whole situation too. So they both,
Yeah, and Jay-Z, if you think about Jay-Z, remember when he married and met Beyonce, I remember reading one time, he never thought that he deserved a woman like that because of the way he grew up. So you have to, not excusing him, but his behavior was a reflection of what he came out of. You know what I'm saying? So who knows? She thought of maybe all of those things. We don't know, but she worked through it, and I really admire them for that, to hang in there and keep having their babies. I saw the little girl go up on the stage at the Grammys the other night. Did you see that? When their daughter went up.
Yes, I see some clips from it.
Yeah, so that's good. So my hat go off to you, Miss Beyonce. You got it, girl. You got it going on. You keep your family together. So that's wonderful. And so I'm not sure, is that commercial time? Not. Oh my goodness. Valencia, we got to we didn't even talk about mahogany. We'll do that another day, because it's time for tips and toodles already. So, oh my goodness. So, tips, did you have a tip that you wanted to share today? Dealing with romance?
I think, as you stated earlier, I think communication is key, because nobody can read each other's mind unless you, get that ability. But, you got to express your concerns, express your thoughts. If you're not happy, tell your partner. And you can't work through anything without talking through the issues. So I think that's important in a relationship.
Yeah. That's
And
nothing
yeah,
I can add to that. That's the key. I have nothing to add to that. That is the key. Communication. That is the
mhm.
key. That is the key. So I hope you guys got out of this show what we got, and this is Black History Month. And Valencia is going to tell you what's going to happen next week. What's happening next week?
So next week we're gonna do a show of "You Color Me Beautiful" then and now.
Okay. So, guys, thank you for watching the Marlene Cox Show. We have enjoyed having you with us, and I know you shared and liked. And remember to go to WBGR TV on Roku at 6 o'clock and see us. And then when you want to go back again, go look at us at 7:30 on Thursdays on YouTube. I think it's 7 or 7:30. I'm not sure. But anyway, and please subscribe to our channel. Give us some thoughts. Give us some inputs. Let us know how we can serve you better. We're not in the studio today. This is amazing. This technology is amazing, Valencia. So we're out, but yet the studio, the engineers are over there working. Hi, Coy. Thank you guys over there at WBGR TV for all that you do for the Marlene Cox Show. So at this point, we're going to close it down. And today, you have a blank canvas and you're the artist. And with every stroke of the brush, every thought and action, you have the opportunity to make this day your best masterpiece ever. Thank you for watching the Marlene Cox Show, and we'll see you back next week. Take care, stay safe.
Thank you.
Happy Valentine's Day. And also remember that February is Heart Month too. So women's heart health. So we're celebrating that too. So we'll talk about that on another show. God bless you, and we'll see you back here next week.
You are watching the Marlene Cox Show. We're here for you, becoming you.